Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here with another Master Duel video for you guys. Today we are going to be covering yet another new deck, well, one that is new to the channel, but not necessarily from the new pack that got released. I want to say recently, because at the time of recording this, it's still just like maybe 2.5, 3 days since the new set dropped, but it's been probably a little over a week by the time this video comes out. But that is going to be Dragonmaid, so not new to the game, you know, but new to the channel here, as I had not built Dragonmaids before. It's funny, I remember in one of our first selection packs for Master Duel, I ended up pulling like 4 or 5 House Dragonmaids, but I kept dismantling them because I wanted to build other decks, and I wasn't particularly interested in Dragonmaid at the time, and now I honestly feel a lot more justified for that since the Dragonmaid Structure deck released, which is very much worth it, by the way. Dragonmaid is both a fun and fairly competitive deck. It is one you could easily get diamond with, I think, and if you just drop 1,500 gems, which is not much, you know, in-game currency at all, on 3 of the structure deck, if this also assumes that you already own staples like Maxx, Ash, Called By, and then stuff like, you know, as long as you own staples, then yeah, you just invest those 1,500 gems and you have got a full Dragonmaid deck, competitive and ready to go right there. So definitely a worthwhile investment, and as a result of the deck being so accessible now, I definitely wanted to try it as well. Now, that's not the only reason I actually got the deck here. I am also interested in Dragon Link, which I haven't built just yet. But I am working my way towards. I want to work my way through maybe a couple more adventure decks, or just some more of the new stuff from like the new set. Maybe Sheou ships I still want to try. And then maybe we'll go to Dragon Links, but you know, the deck also contains the Hieratic Seal of the Heavens, which is an ultra rare that is very much needed for Dragon Link. So, and also, you know, there are other cards that are played in Dragon Link that could be included in Dragonmaid, you know, this Dragonmaid deck, right? Like, I think ideally I would have Red Eyes Darkness Metal and Dragon Ravine in this deck, but I haven't crafted those just yet, because again, I haven't started investing my craft points into Dragon Link just yet. Just again, with so many different new decks to try out right now. But yeah, so that's yet another reason to invest in the Dragonmaid structure decks there. Plus you get the, you know, custom deck box, which is fun and all that stuff. So yeah, with you know, this deck a lot more accessible now. Like I said, I wanted to not only learn the deck myself, but then also share the kind of my experiences with the deck with everybody else, as I'm sure everyone is looking for pointers of the deck, or just you know, maybe example lists, maybe wondering where to go from here. So I, as always, turned to masterduelmeta.com, just kind of looked at the deck breakdown and latest deck list, not just from, you know, the last week or so, but just the last maybe month or two for Dragonmaids, just to see how they were generally built. Again, also taking into account that I didn't craft the Red Eyes Darkness Metal and or Dragon Ravine just yet, both of which would be fairly good for this deck. I ultimately settled on this build here, which I think consists of mostly fairly standard stuff. I am playing DPE, which from what I can tell is, like, not in all Dragonmaid decks, you know, by far, but most. I'd say maybe like 2/3 of the decks I saw were running the DPE engine, and I do think it does add a very powerful angle, as it tends to for most decks, you know, how DPE works. But yeah, so basically the way that Dragonmaids work, for those who are completely unaware, you've got the small Dragonmaids. Ours were mainly just using Parlor and Chamber Dragonmaid, but there is also a single copy of Nurse here as well. When you enter the battle phase, they return to your hand, and then you can special summon the larger dragon forms, which for us is just going to be 2 monsters, Dragonmaid Larpor and then Dragonmaid Ernus, from the hand or graveyard. So the idea is that they transform into the larger forms when you go to battle. But honestly, the main power of the Dragonmaids themselves lies in the fusions, particularly Dragonmaid Sheou here. If you're able to fusion summon this, which is not actually that difficult at all, you, not only get the ability to recur a Dragonmaid from your graveyard every standby phase, and I mean, it's a level 9 or lower, so it's pretty much any other Dragonmaid. It's not one of the fusions here. Well, actually, even if you have a House Dragonmaid in grave, I guess you can recur that, but that doesn't really come up for me. In any case, though, the other more powerful effect is the Omni Negate. You can Omni Negate, destroy the card, and then when you do, the Sheou does return to the extra deck, but then you get the House Dragonmaid out, which during the standby phase can summon more Dragonmaids and can also destroy cards when your dragons get returned to the hand. So all in all, very powerful boss monsters to have here at the end of the engine. And then also, you know, our most common turn 1 play is going to end with us going into the Hieratic Seal of the Heavens, which is actually a fairly powerful play because it not only acts as disruption in the form of bouncing, which is very, very good, often better than just straight up destruction. You then also get to summon a dragon from your hand or deck, making its attack and defense 0. So if you haven't already set up a big dragon for your opponent's turn, you could even just summon the Parlor Dragonmaid, use its effect to send one of the big dragons, and then you have a big dragon set up for battling. You could also, with Parlor Dragonmaid, send one of the Dragonmaid Tidings. This card is very, very good and key to the strategy. In fact, this card is so good that it's often used in Dragon Lake to splash a small Dragonmaid package with like the Chamber Dragonmaid and then the Dragonmaid Tidying. This allows you, when you're activating it on the field, to target a dragon you control and a card on your opponent's field or in their graveyard and bounce them back to the hand. Very good disruption. On top of that, you can banish this card from the graveyard to special a Dragonmaid monster from the graveyard, and that can be used as a quick effect, so that's very, very powerful there. Another good card to send with the Parlor Dragonmaid. More often than not, what your first turn is going to consist of is just go ahead and summon the Hieratic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres here. I know I kept saying Hieratic Seal of the Heaven. Wow, they're so mean to put seal and sphere in the same card, but yeah, so this is going to be what you summon most often on turn 1, right? So the way that we do that more often than not is to, let's say, you know, we'll summon a Parlor Dragonmaid, and then we can use that to send the Dragonmaid Tidying. We'll link that away into a Striker Dragon. We're not actually playing Bootsack Launcher or Rocket Monsters. This is just used as a material, because then we can potentially use that Tidying that we just sent to banish it, bring back the Parlor once again, and then you can link those into the Hieratic Seal. What's even better is if you have a Noctovision Dragon, which I'm actually already considering putting a 3rd copy of this card in the deck. Noctovision Dragon, if you summon a Dragonmaid and then link it into a Striker Dragon, you can special this card from the hand to then go into the Hieratic Seal, keeping the Dragonmaid's hiding if you're, you know, setting something up with Parlor. And then also on top of that, when it's used for a link material, the Noctovision Dragon lets you draw a card. So it even replaces itself after it's used to go for a material there. So very nice card overall. Again, I kind of put it in 2 because I was like wondering how useful this card would be, but I would actually love to have a 3rd copy. I'm probably gonna try to make room when I next go to rework this build, but this is the build I did with my initial testing / learning with the deck. I feel it's a very solid, just a baseline kind of pure Dragonmaid. There are other builds again where you can lean a little bit more into the Dragon Link. It's funny because the Dragon Link and Dragonmaid decks are almost like a spectrum as opposed to 2 different decks, and you can really kind of rest the build, I don't know about anywhere, but pretty close to anywhere on that spectrum, and it's probably still going to be not only just playable, but fairly decent, if not good as well. So again, you could be playing like Dragon Ravine, Red Med, the Boot Sector launch, and some rockets to go with the Striker Dragon, so it's not just a material, it's you know, it's also actually like proactively doing something as well. There's just many different routes you can take with the build here. I also kind of want to keep my build baseline to maybe show, again, just a more basic build of just taking the cards from the structure deck and then combining it with staples that most people would already own. Some of the stuff in the extra deck maybe is a little niche, like the Underworld Goddess or something like that, but you definitely don't need all this like specific stuff. I mean, yeah, you want to have good stuff that's like playable, obviously, but a lot of the extra deck stuff is just going to get banished for prosperity anyway. This deck tends not to dip into the extra deck too much, usually outside of just going for DPE, the Dragonmaid fusions, and then against the Striker into the Hieratic Seal. Other than that, most of this other stuff we don't really use that often, so you don't have to feel bad about getting rid of it with prosperity. It is often right to prosperity for 6 with this deck, and the 6 that I send typically will be like Underworld, Access, Unicorn, Twin Triangle Dragon, and then like maybe depending on like what turn it is, like if it's turn 1, maybe one of the Strikers and one of the Hieratic Seals, because you usually don't need 2 of each, or like maybe the Pitsy and maybe like one of the, I don't know, one of the Strikers or something. If it's a little bit later in the game and I still haven't used any of my fusions, then I feel a little bit more comfortable sending one of each, because there are grindier games where you might need both of each, but again, if it's already late in the game and you haven't used both of each, you can feel pretty comfortable sending one of each House and Sheou as well. Alright, let's see. That's about all I've got to say, I think, about the build. The rest is fairly standard, again, either Dragonmaid or staple stuff. So, as always, let's go ahead and break the list down card by card, just so you all know what is in the deck. After that, we'll take a look at some gameplay. So, we are playing 3 Maxx, 1 Nurse Dragonmaid, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 3 Parlor Dragonmaid, 1 Destiny Hero Celestial, 3 Chamber Dragonmaid, 1 Destiny Hero Dasher, 1 Dragonmaid Ernus, 2 Noctovision Dragon, 1 Dragonmaid Larpor, 1 Nibiru the Primal Being, 2 Fusion Destiny, 1 Dragonmaid Hospitality, 1 Dragonmaid Changeover, 3 Pot of Prosperity, 2 World Legacy Guardragon, 2 Call by the Grave, 2 Crossout Designator, 2 Forbidden Droplet, 2 Infinite Impermanence, and 3 Dragonmaid Tidying. Now, down here in the extra deck, we've got 1 Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, 2 House Dragonmaid, 2 Dragonmaid Sheou, 1 Guardragon Pisty, 2 Striker Dragon, 1 Twin Triangle Dragon, 2 Hermetic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres, 1 Predaplant Vert Anaconda, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Access Code Talker, and then finally 1 Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. Okay, yep, that about covers the build there. So like I said, let's now jump straight into some games. So this first game I'm going to show off here is, it's definitely quite a bit of a longer one, as far as number of turns anyway, being 11 total turns. And it's against, like, it's an interesting, like, adventure / normal monster control deck. Like, it seems to be relying a lot on the adventure engine, but has a few splashable vanillas, and then plays cards that, like, benefit from having vanillas. It's kind of a neat deck. Seems like more of a control-y type of deck, which Dragonmaids, I don't know why I always think of House Dragonmaid when I think of Dragonmaids, but, well, I guess it's probably just because I looked at my opponent's avatar here, but in any case, Dragonmaids can be a little bit control-y themselves. They don't have as many, like, extensive combos, and they tend to just kind of use their dragon, like, the dragon fusions and then, like, the tidings and stuff to just kind of, like, control the board. Here we don't open any, of these smaller Dragonmaids or a way to find them, so we're just going to use the Prosperity to go into DPE, all reliable, and then set up a Droplet and Designator as well. Opponent leads with their Fusion Destiny. I'm just going to flip up the Crossout Designator. This works out nicely because now I can get rid of the dead Fusion Destiny that's in my deck, and I can also, of course, stop my opponent's Fusion Destiny from activating as well. Plus, the fact that they also just shotgunned Fusion Destiny right off the bat tells me that they probably don't have anything else, and sure enough, they actually don't play any other cards. They are going to have a call by for my DPE, which is definitely annoying here, but if I can just draw a smaller Dragonmaid, then I am definitely good to go. Your strategy is definitely very reliant on them. As a result, if you're looking for choke points against Dragonmaids, then negating the effects of these smaller ones is often a good place, or removing them from the field is a good place to start. So I don't rip a small Dragonmaid, I rip one of the big ones, Ernus, but that's actually fine here because we have Dasher in the graveyard. We actually get to use the effect to just slap the Ernus down on the board, and then our opponent doesn't have anything on board, so we'll just smack him with it. And yeah, we're just going for beatdowns here. There's not really a whole lot else to it, and of course we got our Dragonmaid mate here as well. I had her covered while she transformed, but it is what it is. In any case here, opponent's going to Pot of Prosperity, revealing a rather unique selection of cards. Again, this just seems to be one of those, like, good stuff decks, which are definitely a lot more common, I've noticed, since the adventure engine has come out. So here my opponent has almost assuredly got the there can only be one that they just set, and they flip it up, confirming this pretty much right away. So I don't really have anything else to summon anyway, as I very luckily draw my other Larpor. I'm just going to smack them again with the Ernus and pass. As long as they're not doing too much and I have the big monster out, I'm totally fine with this. Yeah, so here they kind of reveal their normal monster strategy a bit. I thought maybe it was just a, like, kind of interesting variant of Sue ships, but no, I looked before the match and this is like the only Sue ship card, is this Shari here, but they do play the Flawless Perfection, the Tenny, which is a field spell that will make this unaffected by monster effects. Totally fine, I'm just going to battle it over it anyway. But then if I special summon, while they have a face down or non-effects monster, they get to draw 2 cards, so that is something to be mindful of in the future. With the there can only be one, I cannot summon this Chamber Dragonmaid, so I'm just going to use Ernus to run over the Shari, and then I'll still set the Chamber Dragonmaid, because there is still a chance that I'm able to out this there can only be one, or I might want to normal summon a monster and have the Chamber Dragonmaid out later. Sure enough, I do top deck a Tidying, which is an out. I'm going to battle my opponent's face down monster, and then I'm going to set the Tidying. My plan is to use it on there can only be one during my turn, and then flip up the Chamber Dragonmaid, send it for the Dragon Structure, special the Noctovision, go into Erratic Seal, and then I can use the Tidying to bring back the Chamber Dragonmaid and fuse for a Sheou, and then go go for a game, as my opponent is pretty low on life points here. So we'll go ahead and enact that plan out now. Just doing literally exactly what I just mentioned there. Like I said, using the Tidying to bounce there can only be one, and then we're flipping up the the Chamber Dragonmaid. Only gets the effect when normal or special summoned, so flip summoning her will not activate the effect, but that's fine because we're just going to bring her back with the, we could have done it with the Dragonmaid Tidying. I think we do actually do it then, but we also have the World, or I think we do it with the World Legacy Guardragon. I mean, either way, we have multiple ways to bring her back, so. And I'll ash the opponent's Flawless Perfection here, so that way they don't get to draw extra cards. Don't want them drawing it out here, like a Nibiru or something would definitely not be good for me in this scenario. So, yep, now like I mentioned, we get to special the Noctovision Dragon. We'll link those away for the... I'm still going to link them away for the Heretic Seal, even though I can't use it during my turn, just so I can get the draw off the Noctovision Dragon there. I mostly actually just want to get the Noctovision Dragon out of my hand in case I needed to use this Destiny Hero Celestial Leader, but I don't think that it's going to come to that. I'm pretty sure the game is just going to end on this turn here. So, yep, now we bring back the Chamber Dragonmaid, use it to get the, changeover. Since we have two big dragons, we'll just fuse both of those two in our hand to go for the Sheou. And we can change to the battle phase that allow our Chamber Dragonmaid to quote-unquote transform into Larpor. I'll battle with the Sheou just in case, because my opponent's at 2200, I can just finish him with the Larpor, but it just ends up being an effect Veiler anyway. So in any case, that is going to do it for this game, as we're able to secure the victory. Oh yeah, the other reason you want to battle the Sheou there is in case you need to use the, the monster effect negate, and maybe let's say your Sheou gets negated and then you don't summon the House Dragonmaid. It's a very, very niche scenario, especially given my opponent's hand and board state, but it is always wise to, practice playing around that kind of a thing for when it doesn't matter, so that you know to play around it for when it does matter. But alright, that is it for the first game there. Let's go ahead and jump into the next one. Alright, so this game is going to be against a 60-card adamantipator deck, which I've actually seen quite a few of lately. It almost makes me want to try getting back into adamantipator, but I don't... See, the thing is, if I'm going 60 cards, wouldn't you just want grass? Well, I don't know if grass is actually good in that deck at 60. Well, it is for sending Block Dragon, but that's all adamantipator talk. Let's talk about the Dragonmaids here. So since I opened a big dragon as well as the Chamber, I'm just going to use Chamber to search for Changeover. Now, if there are any experienced Dragonmaid players in the comments, as always, do feel free to leave gameplay and deck building suggestions down there. I am very, very new to this deck. I have not played it. At the time of recording this, my first games with this deck were literally maybe 3-4 hours ago. After, of course, I did some research. I looked up some gameplay videos and some combo guides as well. But yeah, I am definitely still rather new to this deck myself, so if any one of you out there are able to offer suggestions, not just for me, but for other people who, like me, recently got the structure decks recently and are now interested in playing Dragonmaids as a result, it would be very helpful, and we would very much appreciate it if you were to chime in there. I always love hearing back from you guys and your constructive criticism anyway. So anyway, here my opponent's going to special the Analyzer, which honestly I probably should have just popped with DPE as soon as it was summoned, but I guess that wouldn't have solved the problem of the Seeker coming down because they could have normaled it anyway. But in any case here, what my plan is to negate the Analyzer with the Ash, and then I'll just pop the Seeker before it has a chance to activate. Now, I believe my opponent does still have their normal summon at this point. Yes, they do. So we do need to be mindful of that. But we do still have the negate with Sheou here. So I see the Ziamine come down. I know to let it resolve from, my own experience playing Punk decks. Plus, I've actually played against one of these 60-card Adamantispators that did pull out like a Halki Fibrax, which actually my opponent's about to pull out here. So that is not uncommon for Adamantispators to be doing nowadays. Definitely got to be mindful. Well, I guess they did it before too. It's not just nowadays, but they're using the Punk engine to help them pull it off nowadays as well. So I'll definitely use the Sheou on the Halki Fibrax here, bringing out the House Dragonmaid as well. My opponent does have the Block Dragon in the graveyard though, so that is going to end up being a problem. At the very least, they are still under Maxx C, so even if they do get to kind of go off a little bit here, I at least get draws on top of that. Getting IP Masquerena, I'm not really sure why they didn't go for Baron here, to be totally honest. They had a level 2 and a level 8, and the Omni Negate would have been very, very strong here. My only real out is the Nibiru that I just drew. If my opponent had a Baron instead of an IP, unless I'm misremembering something, it has been quite a while since I played Adamantipator, so Maybe there's a reason, I don't know. I can't think of it off the top of my head. But here my opponent does have a level 2 tuner and 2 level 4s out, so because they can go for Baron and potentially set up the Omni Negate, I want a Nibiru now before the possibility of that becoming a thing happens. And opponent brings out the Block Dragon again before battling over my Nibiru there and then passing over to me. So here I do make a misplay. Once again, it's just been a long time since I've played against adamantipators, and I did not think to use the Imperm to negate the Block Dragon before attempting to pop the Nibiru token. No, I thought I did it right away, but I guess it's going to be a little bit later here in the turn. But we'll start with the Parlor Dragonmaid for the Tidying, sending that to bring back the Chamber. That'll let us get the Dragonmaid Hospitality. We can use that in order to bring back, you know, one of our bigger Dragonmaids. And now we can use the Changeover to bounce one of the smaller ones back to the hand, and then we can fuse for another Dragonmaid Sheou here. But yeah, what I end up doing is I end up setting one of these Prosperities and then trying to use DPE to pop it and the Nibiru token, but while the Block Dragon is still on the board. So again, I should have used the Imperm like during the draw phase on the Block Dragon. That would have prevented it from protecting the Nibiru. I always forget that it protects, you know, all rock monsters and not just itself. I always think to myself, a Block Dragon can't be destroyed by card effects, but no, it's all rock monsters while Block Dragon is out are protected from card destruction. Card effect destruction, rather. Definitely negating the search there. Don't need my opponent getting any more fuel. Now we can just pop it with the House Dragonmaid later, and then we'll just casually set 5, you know, and then pass it over to our opponent. Not even just setting 5 to clear space out of our hand, but all 5 back row are pretty much relevant here. The double call by Imperm, Tidying, and Crossout Designator here. So opponent's going to max C for the cycle. I'm actually going to Ash it, even though it's only 1 draw, because I might actually have more draws a little bit later this turn, just depending on how things play out. And on top of that, if my opponent's hand is small, I don't want them to be filtering for any more cards here to get them any more action. I'll just negate this Secret here, save my DPE pop for a little bit later. It actually might have been smart to DPE pop in here just anyway, just in case they had like another Researcher or something, but ultimately, they just banish their hand for Block Dragon anyway. I'll use Tidying to bounce the Block Dragon because they're out of Earths in order to banish it, and then obviously that way they're not going to get the Seeker out. Then we can use the House Dragonmaid to pop the Seeker because one of our dragons got bounced back. Not that it matters because the game is over at this point. So just goes to show how the more controlling aspects of Dragonmaids can definitely hamper down the opponent, no matter how many different ways they have to combo out. You have multiple ways to stop them as well. So, all right, let's go ahead and take a look at the next game here. All right, next duel we're going to see here will be against Live Twins. And very interested to see. I try to remember, actually. That's so sad. This game was like 2 hours ago. I don't even remember how it went at all. Oh, wait, no, I do. I remember now, actually. As soon as I saw the hand here, it came back to me as I very luckily opened with both big dragons yet again. I do try to Chamber Dragonmaid in order to get the fusion here so I can set up a turn 1 Sheou, but unfortunately the Imperm is not going to allow that to be the case. But we can still set up a Heavenly Seal at the very least here because we have the Noctovision Dragon in our hand, which, like I said, I kind of just want to run 3 of this now. Again, I thought this was going to be a little bit dead more often than not, but all you really need is one of the smaller Dragonmaids, which is not too hard to come across. I'm definitely going to call by this Maxx C. I want to keep my opponent's hand as small as possible, and obviously I want to be able to special summon multiple times in order to make my own plays here. The Noctovision will also let us draw a card, so it might maybe unbrick our hand a little bit here. But you're seeing, even just from opening these 2 big dragons, the only 2 big dragons in my deck, and then we also very luckily draw a Destiny Hero Celestial. But this is why you don't want to run too many of the big Dragonmaids in your deck, is because you really don't need that many copies. It's funny, for being the main like gimmick, you almost don't even really form change all that much. It's a little bit more, in my opinion, about getting to the fusions than anything else. But I mean, obviously the form changing is still good. Oh yeah, saving the Heavenly Seal here, or the Heavenly Sphere here for when they summon the Link monsters, so we can put that back. You want to do it after the Leela has already been summoned, because if you chain it to like the Cassicle's effect and then the Leela comes out, then they'll have no other monsters and they can special them monster from their deck and then just go for the play anyway, so definitely got to be mindful of that. Nurse Dragonmaid is an excellent top deck here after a couple mediocre top decks, as we're able to then get back the Chamber Dragonmaid and get that Dragonmaid Changeover in order to fuse into our favorite Omni-Negate boss monster, Sheou. And yep, we can even form change here into the Ernus, battle with the Leela, and then smack our opponent directly. We could change back, but we already used Nurse Dragonmaid's effect this turn, so there's no real point. I'll just keep the Ernus out on the board. The big dragons also can't be destroyed by card effects as long as you've got one of the fusions, so that's pretty nice. Opponent trying to bait my Sheou negate by using Maxx when I go to special summon during the standby phase, but I'm definitely not falling for that. I'll just special summon the Chamber Dragonmaid, use the effect to grab a Tidying because I think I still had all three in deck, and I'll just pass it over to my opponent, but they are not able to do anything in the wake of my Omni Negate, so they are forced to concede at this point, which is definitely, of course, what we love to see. So, once again, as you can see, the name of the game here is more about control than like getting off, super big combos, although there are other Dragonmaid variants that can do that. But again, if you're using a more basic variant like I have, it's going to be more about controlling with the Dragonmaid Sheou among your other cards there. So, alright, I've got one more game for us to watch. Let's go ahead and jump straight into it. Okay, last game we're going to watch here is against Spiral, which is a deck I don't play against very often, but can be very scary in its combo potential. So, this one, if I recall correctly, though, we don't have too much trouble handling here. We're going to take the first turn. We do open with Chamber plus the Noctovision, so that's good. We can open with our Spell Trap Search and also get a Heavenly Seal. We could also think about just searching the Changeover here and just going straight into Sheou, which now that I'm thinking back, I'm pretty sure is actually just what I do. I don't know if that's the optimal play, but it seemed like a good one to me. I mean, the Heavenly Sphere is a nice thing to have for your opponent's first turn, but so is the Omni Negate, right? So yeah, I thought that was the case here, yeah. Rather than just going for like the Striker Dragon combo, I'm like, yeah, whatever, I'll just go straight into Sheou. Besides, I have the World Legacy Guardragon in hand for next turn. I can use it to bring back the House Dragonmaid and then search another spell trap for potentially more plays there. So, and then on top of that, we can search up the Sheou here. Or not the Sheou, the Chamber Dragonmaid, and get another search here. I actually totally forgot that was the other reason I decided to make this play. Opponent tries to imperm, but fortunately we do not have to use Shio's Omni Negate here. We can just use the Crossout Designator and banish one of our own imperms, so that way we can keep the Omni Negate around a little bit longer. Opponent's going to try to Ash the Chamber Dragonmaid. I'm actually totally cool with that. I'm going to let it resolve. I'm saving my Omni Negate for something much more threatening. Same when my opponent goes to activate Card Destruction, which they will here in a moment. Also oh, right, hang on a second. I wanted to... Oh, wait, and then they concede it. Hang on, dang it. Okay, cool. The game thing is still up here. I know I was all over the place for a second there. Yeah, they went to activate Card Destruction, and I decided to let that resolve too, because they only had 2 cards in hand, and I was like, one, what are the odds that they'll get 2 cards that are actually going to let them have plays in these circumstances? And 2, there's no need to negate the Card Destruction. I'll just negate whatever plays they get off the Card Destruction. But the Dragonmaid search resolved anyway, and I'm trying to remember what effect it was. Oh, no, the Ash got negated because it got called by, didn't it? Yeah, it got called by. That's what it was. I was wondering why the search resolved here. Okay, but I forgot it was the called by, and apparently my opponent did too, as they just totally lost their card for no reason. But yep, at that point, after I allowed the Card Destruction to resolve, like, yeah, they've got 2 cards left, and maybe they did have a live play in hand, but they certainly didn't have anything under my Sheou. And the other cool thing about Sheou, again, remember, is that it's not just an Omni Negate and Destroy that puts itself back. You then also still get the House Dragonmaid, which is a very powerful card in its own right too. So very, very nice. I like this deck a lot more than I thought I would. I thought it was gonna maybe, I don't know, there was a part of me that was like, okay, I'll do the video, but how much am I really going to play this deck after I make the video? I am actually looking forward to fine-tuning this build and playing with this deck a little bit more, especially as I explore Dragon Links a little bit, and then I can explore some other variants of this deck. But let's talk about that a little bit more in the outro, which we'll go ahead and move to now. Okay, everybody, just want to thank you all very much for watching to the very end of the video like this. That means a whole lot to me, not only personally, but is also an excellent way to support the channel as well. I'm also appreciative appreciative to those of you who are commenting and subscribing. Comments, like I mentioned earlier in the video, I am definitely looking forward to getting the feedback from you guys as a new Dragonmaid player as to how my play style and build could potentially be improved. I'm always looking for that improvement, and you guys, I think I said your guys just there. You guys, rather, are also very good about offering just solid advice in general, and again, constructive criticism. Love to hear it. And then subscribing is the best way to stay notified of when the videos get released, which does happen every single day, so you do have that to look forward to, a daily video, a daily Master Duel video when you subscribe. Yeah, no, like I was saying at the end of that last game there, this deck, yeah, again, I thought I was like, yeah, I'll get this, I'll buy it because why not? But now that I actually have it, I'm definitely a lot more invested in it than I thought I was going to be. So again, as I move more towards a Dragon Link deck, then I kind of get the other end of the spectrum. Then I can try to focus on maybe making a build that's like, not necessarily halfway, but I don't know, Dragon Links with a Dragonmaid flair, Dragonmaids with a Dragon Link flair. The possibilities are abundant, and we will definitely be exploring them in the future. Again, I want to cover some other adventure decks and maybe some other... We also have the festival coming up. Well, coming up at the time of recording this, but it's probably happening or starting right now, right about now when this video comes out. I'm always bad about predicting what's going to be happening when, though, so... Alright, I can feel myself in ramble mode, so I'm just going to go ahead and end off the video here. Once again, I want to thank you all for watching. This is Hexlex. I'm signing out. I hope you guys have a fantastic day.